So in the previous video, we were able to work with a calculator, and basically we were able to add two numbers, right? So what we did is, in this calculator, we have created this method called add, and then we have accepted two parameters, and then we were able to add them, and we were able to return the value. Now, of course, the place from where you are calling this method returns a value, and that's what you are saving in result, and you are printing it that. Now, in this video, let's try to understand more about methods. Of course, in the entire course, we will be using different types of methods. We'll explain how this method is behaving this way. But at this point, let's understand about methods more. So what I will do is, just to simplify this, I will remove this class, and I will also remove the entire section from here. Now, if you can see, by default, even if you have one class here, which is demo, by default, we have one method, which is main. Now, main is a method which is a start of execution. So it defines, hey, this is where we have to start the execution. So by default, we are anyway using a method, right? But then if you understand the actual development of any kind of product, it can be a car or a mobile phone or a software. Now, we normally create modules. Example, if we talk about a car, we have different modules there, right? We have wheels, we have doors, we have bonnet, we have engine. Right? So all these things come together to form a car. In the same way, if we talk about a big software, we break down the software into small parts, and we try to create those as a component. Now in Java, we can create components with the help of classes, right? So we can say, hey, if you want to build a car, maybe let's create a class called wheels. Let's create a class called engine. Let's create a class called seats, right? So all these things comes together. Now, every class here is, whatever class you work with, let's say wheel class. A wheel class will also have its own behavior, right? So we'll have some data, we'll have some behavior. So here, if you talk about behavior, if you want to define, hey, this is how the wheel will move, this is how the engine will work. Now, all those things comes under a behavior, and we do that with the help of methods. Just to simplify this, let's say I create a class, and I will name this class as ABC. It can be any component, or maybe I can say this is a computer. Of course, even a computer is made up of multiple components, but just to simplify things, let's say we have a computer. It's a class, okay? And then in this class, I can define the behavior, what a computer can do. A computer can run games, a computer can play music. So I can say, hey, I want this computer to play music. In fact, in my childhood, this is what we used to do. When we used to get computer to access, I was in my 11th standard when I got full-fledged use of computers. And at that point, when I say I got to use computer, what the thing I will do? Of course, we can use Paint, we can use MS Docs, which is the Word, or we can use some amazing media player to play music, right? So here, let me say this computer can play music. Okay. Now, how do we define that's a behavior? We do that with the help of a round bracket. And then this play music will do something. So we have to open the brackets and close. This is where you will define what is a behavior of this particular method. And every method, we also have to specify what type of access you're giving. Of course, we'll talk about access later. But at this point, let's make it public. I just want it to be accessed from anywhere. And also, a method will do something, right? So that's what we are doing here. Now, this method will do something, and it will give you something in return. Example, let's say if I ask someone here, so let's say if I have Harsh here, and if I say, hey, I want a pen. Now, at this point, as a external method, I'm asking Harsh to give me the pen, right? So what I'm expecting from Harsh, a pen, right? Maybe I want to just get some information. Maybe I can just ask Harsh, hey, can you just call someone to send this information? So at this point, if I'm asking Harsh to call someone, I'm not expecting anything in return. So what I'm doing is, when I say I don't want anything in return, is void. So of course, your method can give you back something. You can say a method can give you an integer value. A method can give you a pen as well. So this method, which is play music, is not giving you anything. It's just performing some operation. Now, of course, we can write multiple lines of code here to play the music, but just to keep it simple, I will say music playing or playing music, doesn't matter. So we are just writing this statement here. Now, this is my method. That's how you define the behavior. We can have some extra methods as well. I can say public, and this is get me a pen. Okay, this is a method name I have, and this method will give me something. So I will say return. So what it will return? So let's say I want to get a pen, but at this point we don't know how to get a pen, right? So let's say I will return a 5 value. Now if we talk about this 5 is a number, right? Or maybe I can just return pen. Now if you can see, this pen is a string. Now string is a special type in Java, which is a combination of different characters. So we have to put that in double quotes. Now we are returning a pen. So here we can't say void, because when you say void, it means you're not expecting anything in return. But here we are doing that. We are returning a pen in a string format. So we have to say I'm returning a string. So whatever type you return here, you have to mention that particular type here. Makes sense, right? So basically we got 2 methods, and then it is also possible that when I say, hey, get me a pen, Harsh will say, okay, I will get you a pen, but you have to give me money first. Of course, right? No one will give you something for free. So I have to provide the money here. So if you ask a method to do something, it comes under your design, how you want to design it. Do you want your methods to accept something from you, or what type of data you want to return? So here I'm saying this get me pen will get some integer value. So let's say I'm passing 10. So normally one, not 10, but a variable, which is num, we'll say cost. So basically if you have to pass a number, let's say 10. So 1 pen will cost you 10 rupees. And then if you want to call this get me a pen, you have to pass the value as well. Makes sense, right? Now we have 2 methods. How do we call them? So from this main, which is in some other class, if you want to access this method, the first thing you have to do is you have to create an object of a computer. As I mentioned before, every time you have a class, which is just an idea, right? Class is a blueprint, an idea. And if you really want to use those ideas, you really need an object. How can we use something without the object, right? Even if you want to call someone, you need a phone with you, a physical phone, not a virtual concept using which you can call someone. Okay, so let's say here we have to get object of computer. So we'll say computer comp. Of course, you can give any reference name here. We can also say obj, which is very common. So you can say computer obj equal to new computer. And that's how you create the object, right? So this is a line normally we use to create object, but only these 2 things are actually creating the object. Here, this is a reference variable. And now using this obj, I can actually call both the methods. I can call play music. So let's try with play music only. And let me clear this screen here. So we'll say Java C demo.java. And you can see we got the compilation done. Let's run this code. I will say Java space demo. It says music playing. So this is working. Can I call get me a pen? Let's try. So I can say obj dot get me a pen. But if you can see, get me a pen is asking you to pass a integer value. So I will pass 10 here, and I can just run this. The only thing is, if you say get me a pen, it returns a value which is a string format. That also means that when you call get me a pen here, it will return you something. It will give you something. So I will put that into a string str. So I can say string str. Of course, you can use any variable name, but that's a string. We are not using integer or double here. We are working with string. And of course, we'll have a separate session or separate video on string. At that point, you will understand that. Here, what I will do is I will just try to print this str just to see what it is printing. I hope it will print pen. And yeah, that's what we got. We got music playing and we got pen. Cool. Now there's one more thing here, which is what if in this cost, so let's say you're passing 10, that works. But then what if someone is passing, let's say 2? Now, of course, we'll not get any pen for 2 rupees, right? Of course, at this point, it will work because we're not doing any checking. I don't want to return a pen when the cost is 2. So how do we do that? I want the minimum value for this cost to be, let's say, 10 rupees. In that case, you can, remember we have talked about if else. So we can actually use if else here. So we can say if the cost is less than, or the cost is greater than equal to 10, then return pen. Otherwise, don't return pen, right? It's very simple. If the cost is more than 10 or equal to 10, then you have to return pen. Otherwise, don't return pen. If someone is calling this method, you have to return something. In this case, you have to write else, return, and you can say return nothing. You know, the weird thing is, at the time of recording, there is a phone called nothing phone. So basically what you're returning here, A nothing phone. Ignore my poor jokes, but yeah. So that's what you're doing here. You are returning nothing, and you can see I'm passing 2 here, and of course the condition will be false. It should return nothing. Let's try, compile, run, and you can see we got nothing. Okay, so this is working, and this is what we wanted. You can do one more thing. You can simply say, you don't even have to mention the else keyword. You can simply say return nothing. But then you will say, it will execute return nothing anyway, right? The thing is, the moment your code sees return pen here, it will just jump out of this method. It will not execute the further statement. What I'm saying is, if the value, let's say, is 12, not 2, 12, of course, this will pass the condition. And then once it is true, it will execute return pen. The moment you say return keyword in a function or a method, it will return the value. It will just go back. It will stop the execution. And that's what we will be getting here. So if I compile this code and run, you can see it says pen. It's not printing nothing. But yes, if the value is 2, in that case, this condition will be false. This one will be false. And it will not execute the return statement of if. It will execute return nothing. And that's why it will print nothing. Now, if you can observe, there's one difference between these 2 methods here. If you can see, we have get me a pen and we have main. The difference is of static keyword, and we have not talked about static yet, and that we'll be doing in the upcoming videos. So yeah, that's it from this video where we have talked about some more information on methods, and see you in the next video.